The game that I've modified now contains about 1,000% more redstone. But what's more impressive than that, I didn't just throw down redstone for the sake of throwing down redstone. Those of you astute viewers might actually be able to recognize behind this mess. This is Tango's card processor. I have filled every single slot. Here's his bus line right here, right? Remember, there used to be some space. Well, I needed all of that space because I took every single card slot on Tango's processor to build my own cards. What this amounts to is about 24 or 25, I've lost count, brand new cards that I've added to the game to give it more early game depth and much more variety. There are more synergies and combos, and there are actually quite a few cards that I'm tremendously proud of making, both in their game design and in their implementation. You can see here the back of the card processor, right? When a card is played, it comes down this water stream. And every one of these is now full, beginning with Tango's original cards, right? I didn't take anything out, but I did add a few. Where do we see the new ones? The new ones beginning right here with excavation. Oh, I can't wait to show you what this does. But before I do, I also want to show you here are Tango's here are Tango's what are these called? Permanent cards. Well, this is actually my permanent card, but this is the permanent card processor, which is a different thing. And I filled this thing up as well, all the way across. Tango had it maybe about half full or 2/3 full, and then I just took it all the way. I needed every single slot because I had ideas and I implemented them. So here we go. Let's take a look at what the cards actually look like. If we go down to the Ember room, the Ember shop. All right, you come in here, you've got your artifact. By the way, I've added 4 new artifacts to the game as well. I'll show you those here shortly. And then you enter the room, and boom, already you can see something slightly different from what was here before. Up here, I decided to display all of the artifacts, as well as put redstone lamps that will light up whenever you collect an artifact. That way, the game keeps track for you of all of the artifacts that you've collected. And just to show you the redstone behind it, this thing actually works. It does keep track of all of the artifacts that you submit, that you throw into this little pit here. And then it lights up the light for you before dropping off the artifact in this space. There are a few other changes I've made to this room. I balanced Tango's bounding strides. I believe it's in this spot now. It costs 54 embers. Let me just check. No, that's brilliance. What is this? Pirate's booty. Silent runner. Where's bounding strides? Speedrunner. Chill step. Oh, it's around here somewhere. Oh, there's berries right there. Bounding strides. Here we go. I didn't change any of the effect of the card. I just gave it a blue border. It's now a rare card, and it costs 52 embers instead of, what was it before, 36? And now the 36 card is quick step. Maybe quick step was always 36. I moved a card over here. Eye on the prize. There it is. This card really needed to cost less because this card is about deck building, which you don't do in the late game. You do it in the early game. And so that's why it needs to be more affordable. And I made it 26 embers. By the way, this card affects both this store and the forge. I'll show you the forge here momentarily. But it affects, gives you an extra card in here, and it gives you an extra card downstairs. Other things I've implemented in this game, I thought there needed to be a new um, a new reward for playing the game over and over and over again, something extremely rare. And here I've created a new item that is very, very rarely dropped in the dungeon. Maybe 1 out of 15 or 20 runs, you'll see one of these, if you're lucky, somewhere in the dungeon. And this is a Deep Frost Ruby, which here you can drop in one of these shulker boxes and immediately get these bonuses. Every Deep Frost Ruby gets you either 5 crowns, which will show up in your barrel upstairs, or 15 frost embers, which you'll get right here and can spend in this store or in the store downstairs. And here is the shop that I've created, that I've added. Really quickly, let me just jump into the redstone and make all of these cards visible for you. This is going to take a few minutes. As you can see, I did a little bit of redstone. I'm going to need to go into creative here. All right, so you come in here. These doors actually, right now they're programmed to open automatically. They open, and you will only see, I think, about 3 or 4, I can't remember how I programmed it, 3 or 4 cards down here, except I have commons down here, which will always be available for purchase. Now upstairs, you can see we have the legendary cards. And to get to the legendary cards, there's a special access room. So you come this way, and in addition to getting, the 70 or 80 embers that you need in order to purchase the cards upstairs, you also need to get one of every key to unlock these doors. And let me demonstrate that for you. Just sheet in a few keys here. There we go. Then you come upstairs, and I'll save these for last. These are some of my favorite cards in the game, and some of them are Tango's original design, but a few of them are actually my own designs as well. So let's start here on the left with my new commons and uncommons. For 5 frost embers, always available, you can buy abundance. And by the way, all of these cards, I've implemented my own amateur voice recordings so that there's at least that in-game feedback that you get, because there's no other way to get feedback except for maybe using the map and trying to guess what card played. But the audio feedback is essential to testing and playing this. So here we have abundance. I hooked up droppers underneath every berry bush on levels 1 and 2 that will drop berry when this card is played. In practice, it may seem like overpowered, like what, only 5 frost embers to give people a bunch of food? Well, really, because you have to travel to the locations of the berry bushes, the berries aren't just going right into your inventory. It really only amounts to an additional maybe 5 or 6 at the most berries in your inventory. Remember, berries only give you, like 1 haunch of health, 1 haunch of hunger. And so you're really only getting a little bit for playing abundance. And remember, you're not getting the other effects that your other good cards will give you. And so abundance really is risky, right? You're not getting clank block, which you need to play the game. You're not getting hazard block, which is extremely helpful. You're not getting treasure, which you really need to go deeper in the dungeon. So abundance is one of those risky cards to even include in your deck in the first place. But if you need a lot of food, if you're Corrales, abundance is a really good early game card to start throwing in your deck. And again, only 5 frost embers. It's now the cheapest card available in the store. For 6 frost embers, we have vigilance, which I've included in the new starter decks that I've provided to my server mates. Vigilance is really just straightforward. Just block 1 clank, block 1 hazard. The reason this is here is because when you have those 5 sneaks and those 5 stabilities, and you have a deck limit of 40 cards, it really feels like there's not a lot of deck variety between players. There's also the problem of spending money, right? I believe sneak is 8 and stability is 7, or maybe that's reversed. Maybe 7 is sneak and 8 is stability. Well, here we needed, I felt we needed something at the lower end. 6 Frost Embers that was not an ethereal card. And this effect is really has a small impact on the game because pretty much that hazard goes away within seconds of the card being played, just because of the way that hazard works on a clock. And that block one clink doesn't really get you a whole lot. So I think this is a really good like early game card that is also going to be one of those cards you swap out as soon as you reach your deck limit of 40 cards, maybe even before you get to your deck limit. For 7 Frost Embers, I wanted to bring in another common ethereal card like Moment of Clarity, except I wanted it to be Jump Boost. Because you noticed earlier, I threw Bounding Strides into the 50 Frost Ember range. There's a lot less bounding or jumping effects upstairs. I wanted to make jumping a little bit more accessible, so I put a few jumping cards down here. And Arctic Leap is one of those where it will always be available to you for 7 Frost Embers. Getting 30 seconds of jump boost, and also just as a bit of a icing on the cake, you get some Frost Embers in return. So almost a rebate if you're able to collect on those Frost Embers to the cost of the card. For 8 Frost Embers, I created an uncommon ethereal card, Hidden Stockpile. I'll show you a little bit later the black market that I created on level 2. Which Tango, spoke that he wanted, maybe even on level 3. There were times when he was theorizing in his streams about where to put a black market, and because of the time limitations of the season and his own time limitations, it never happened. I put one in, and here it is with Hidden Stockpile. It gets you 3 extra coins 3 extra treasure, because you really need treasure in order to spend them in the black market. But this also is a safe way of opening the door to the black market. For 13 Frost Embers, remember upstairs, your cheapest uncommon cards upstairs are what, like 16, 17, or 16 and 18, I think. Here I wanted to create some cheaper cards for those runs you come out and you have like maybe 15 Frost Embers and you can't buy anything upstairs. Well, now with 15, you have a whole bunch of options, right? You can get an Abundance, and you can get an Ember Seeker, or you can get a Vigilance, and you can get Treasure Hunter, or you can get, a whole bunch of combos are possible now with these low Ember runs in your early game, allowing you to build your deck faster and go deeper faster without overpowering you too much. Well, here we have a 13 Frost Ember, uncommon, this time not ethereal. This is a card that stays in your deck called Cold Cash, and it really only benefits you in the early game. As you start to go deeper, this is another one of those cards that you start to replace soon, but it's also just a really darn good 13 Frost Ember card as well. Basically, if you're in level 1, it's 2 Frost Embers and 3 treasure. This is basically 3/4 of a Treasure Hunter and an Ember Seeker put together, smashed together into one card for you. But for those runs in which you're really going to level 2 and starting to go to level 3, this becomes much cheaper, right? Because then you only get 1 Frost Ember and 2 because of this effect. So there's another deck building strategy that people will have to be thinking about. Are you going to really cash out level 1 as much as you can, or are you going to try to build a deck that goes deeper? For 15 Frost Embers, I really wanted to push the boundaries of what it means to build decks, right? I'm a Magic the Gathering player, and it'll show over here somewhere, I believe, with my... No, it's upstairs. Upstairs, that's where my Magic the Gathering card is. But here is another one of those. This is all about deck building, right? For 15 Frost Embers, you get an ethereal card, one-time use card, right, that adds a sneak card and a stability card to your deck permanently. So you could have 5 sneaks, 5 stabilities, and a center self. And now that center self is going to put that 6th sneak and 6th stability card in your deck. And they'll play. The deck limit rule does not affect cards being added to your deck later, only the cards that go into your deck at the beginning of the game. I intentionally created this as a way to get people who had 15 Frost Embers, Sneak, and Stability cards in their deck, but also for the synergies that you'll see later with Sneak. Remember, there's this Sneak synergy in here somewhere. That's not it. That's not it. Swagger, no. Here it is. Chill Step. Oh, I can't see it. Chill Step. This is Tango's own card, right? Future Sneak cards gain you 2 Frost Embers, and this bonus can stack, right? So imagine you have 3 of these in your deck. You have 5 Sneak cards, and you have a Center Self card. Now you have 6 Sneak cards. Now this bonus is really going to town. Now this 48 Frost Ember investment is going to really start paying off as you get more and more Sneak cards in your deck. Now, mind you, this Center Self, you can only have 1 in your deck, right? So you're not getting more than 6 Sneak cards in your deck. So there are limitations. Moving over into these, the next row of uncommons. Notice Tango's prices were all even numbered. I decided to make all of my prices odd numbered. So here we have 17 Frost Embers for cryosynthesis. I wanted to make Frost Embers a little bit more available in the game, in at least your deck building. And so here I decided let's have something that's between Ember Seeker and Frost Focus. And for 17 Frost Embers, that's between the two in price, and you get 3, right? Ember Seeker is a +2, Frost Focus is +4. Well, here you get +3. And I thought, let's add a little bit of a bonus to it too. If you had at least 2 Frost Embers queued up as this card played, it gets you 30 seconds of regeneration. So that's hence the Genesis, Cryogenesis. That's going to be a really hard conditional to trigger because of the way that Frost Embers play and the rate at which cards play. But if you can pull that off maybe in the late game with some really powerful Frost Focus or Frost Ember effects, then this really builds up in the late game for you. So now we're starting to look towards the future. We're starting to look towards cards that set you up for the late game, mid to late game. Here for 19 Frost Embers is one of my absolute favorite cards, Tiptoe. And this was not only fun to develop and design, but also fun to code. I had such a challenge with the Redstone, and I learned so much from not only watching Tango, but I also watched ZF, and ZF taught me quite a few things about Redstone, believe it or not, that I was able to implement here. And with Tiptoe, I had to use an etho hopper clock in order to count 20 seconds and produce a clink block. And then I created a conditional for when a stumble card plays, interrupt this whole process, stop that etho hopper clock, right? So Tiptoe, it's a lot of fun to play. I've gotten 6, 7, 8 clank block off of it. Not bad for a 19 Frost Ember card, right? Remember, for what is it, like 18 Frost Embers, you're getting 4 clank block. So you can get, but then again, the way stumbles play, the way people's luck goes, you might get Tiptoe and then stumble on the next card, and then you've only gotten 1 clank block, maybe 2, maybe depending on how long it was between the cards playing. But this is a great effect, and there are things that it stacks with that I want to show you a little bit later. Moving up to 23 Frost Embers, this is another one of those cards I'm super proud of. Lucky Break, another card that interacts with stumbles. For the next 3 cards, any stumble cards, instead of giving you 2 clank, they will give you 1 Frost Ember, 1 treasure, block 1 clank, and block 1 hazard. This is a lot of fun to play with. It's a great early game card when you know that you're going to get a lot of stumbles because you don't have a lot of cards in your deck. And in the late game, you have to be a little bit more judicious about whether you really want Lucky Break as one of your 40 cards, or maybe you have swagger, and you know that you'll get a bunch of stumbles added to your deck later. This is a great way to negate those, because not only are you stopping those 2 clink from happening, but you're getting a clink block also, and a hazard block, and all these other benefits. Lucky Break is one of those feel-good cards. If in the next 3 cards you would have gotten a stumble. The stumble will still announce itself. It'll still say stumble, and then, but the effect won't take place. Instead, it'll give you all of these bonuses, and you'll feel good about it. So the Lucky Break I designed for that purpose. For 25 Frost Embers, now we're getting into those synergies I was speaking about earlier with Sneak. This was a challenge. I'll show you the redstone to this. This was a challenge to code. Rogue Step, another uncommon. You can buy 3 of them, and it really pays off to buy more than one. First of all, you get 2 treasure, 2 clank block, so you're already building up from whatever you had in your commons. Now this is automatically better than many commons. And you gain additional treasure for every Sneak and Rogue Step previously played before this one. So if you have, 5 Sneaks in your deck, right? And this is one of those cards you want to play last. And this plays after your fourth Sneak, then that's 4 extra treasure. So now you're getting 6 treasure, 2 clank block for a Rogue Step. That's really high levels of treasure. It can go even higher, right? Imagine you have 3 Rogue Steps. Well, now, you get those 4 treasure, plus you get an extra treasure for having played a Rogue Step already, and the next Rogue Step is going to add, another 7 treasure, whatever it is, because it'll be the 7th card in this sequence. And maybe you have 6 Sneaks because you have a center self. Well, the treasure just keeps piling up. Rogue Step is one of those cards that I designed for this very risky gameplay or deck building strategy in mind. For 27 Frost Embers, remember before we had Bounding Strides. Tango had priced it at 26 Frost Embers, which was really busted. And here I decided, okay, for 27, let's put Jump Boost back on the market, but let's balance it. So I made Triple Jump. This is a fun card to play with. It's unpredictable. It still gets you that jump boost that you really want, but it doesn't quite give it to you the way you want it. First, you gain 15 seconds of run speed. Then when that run speed is up, you get 15 seconds of jump boost. When that jump boost is up, then you get 15 seconds of run speed again, then 15 seconds of jump boost, then run speed, then jump boost again. So all told, you get 45 seconds of each effect, but it's interspersed. It's not all at once in one great big block. And so I'm imagining it, a situation, you just got your artifact and you're like, oh, I got my artifact. Boom. And then you really want to get out of here, right? Then you get Triple Jump. You can run, right? You can run and get the heck out of the dungeon, but then you run into a wall because your hazard has been terrible. Well, now you can jump over it because 15 seconds later, that jump boost triggers, and then you jump over that wall that's blocking you out. And then you got a Ravager on your tail, and then boom, 15 seconds later, you can run away because your jump boost or your jump boost ran out, and you gained run speed instead. Just the alternating pattern of run speed and jump boost. If you plan your route right when this card plays, if you know the dungeon really well, then you can really milk this card for all it's worth. But it's still only 45 seconds of each effect. It's not a 2-minute long jump boost that also gets you hazard block and totally discounts all of the jumping that's in the dungeon. So that's a Triple Jump. That's another card that I'm really happy that I came up with, and it was really fun to code. 29 Frost Embers gets you Ninja Step. Notice a theme, right? We had Chill Step upstairs, and then we have Rogue Step. Now we have Ninja Step. You can tell there's a naming convention going on here. If you want to build around the Sneak effect, right? With Center Self adding Sneak cards, and then Rogue Step cashing in on Sneak cards, Chill Step giving you Frost Embers for Sneak cards, Ninja Step now, notice you can only have one, makes it so that your sneak cards add 15 seconds of run speed. This card, although it's a one-off, right, it really only fits in your sneak deck if you really want to build around those 5 sneak cards, possibly 6 sneak cards in your deck. Ninja Step is definitely one of those cards you want to include because those sneak cards are now giving you Frost Embers and Treasure and Clank Block and now Run Speed. This, although it's not a permanent, right? So this doesn't affect you from the very beginning. You have to wait for this one card to play, and it doesn't stack. I couldn't figure out a way to code it to make it stack, so that's why there's only one of these in your deck maximum. But all the same, I didn't think that we would really want to pile too many of these in. For 33 Frost Embers, I actually borrowed this from Reddit. I saw this on a very old Reddit post, maybe like back in November or October. And I'm on the fence about whether I really like this, because reaching max clank shouldn't be something that you should be planning on. But at the same time, what if you did plan on it? What if you did actually want it to happen? Well, at least here's a card now that if max clank is inevitable for you, Etho, then for 33 Frost Embers, you can pick this up and just get a bunch of treasure and Frost Embers as you panic and run out of the dungeon. Yeah, there's not much to say about that. There's not a lot of combos with that, but it's at least compensating you for having run the risk of throwing yourself face first into max clank, which you really shouldn't be doing. For 37 Frost Embers, I was thinking about abundance and how much it took to code this thing just for a common that probably not a lot of people will use. And all of that wiring, all of those berries, I thought, what's a way that I can up that and make a rare card that uses this system that I already put in place? So for 37 Frost Embers, I developed Rich Fare. It gives you treasure, drops berries on every berry bush on levels 1 and 2, just like Abundance. This is an automatic replacement for Abundance. At this point in the game, you really don't want to be running Abundance. And then finally, it drops those Halloween pumpkins that you can turn in at the Witch Hut. It drops them all over level 3. This is an interesting effect. What if those pumpkins popping up all over the place distract the wardens? That was what I was thinking with Rich Fare. In a way, you get all these bonuses, right? You get some treasure, maybe some keys. You get berries so that you can eat and heal. And then you get pumpkins in case you make it to the Witch Hut. You drop them off and get a bunch of really great stuff. But at the same time, if you're planning on being around level 3 a whole bunch, that could actually be really helpful for you. For 39 Frost Embers, I was asking myself, what is a jump boost card that I can add to the game that feels different? Well, here it is. Parkour Master is a permanent card that gets you perma jump boost while you have 5 or more hazard block in your queue. This is a really interesting card. It requires, you really need TangoCam to be online because TangoCam loads the map for you, or you need just someone to load the map for you, because that whole system is what reports to Parkour Master that you're going to have jump boost. So when you have 5 or more hazard block queued up, you just have jump boost working in the background. This card is fun, but it is hard to trigger. You do need to invest in hazard block. And as you can see down here, I did not put a lot of cheap hazard block in the game. You have to depend on Tango's hazard block cards upstairs, or let's see, where is it? I did put a very high-end hazard block card down here, which is a sick combo with Parkour Master. I'll show you that momentarily. But before we get there, we have for 41 Frost Embers another step card, Retrace Your Steps. As the name signifies, retracing your steps, you're going back on a path you came. You know what's on that path, right? So you're not going to create clank. There's not going to be hazard that's going to be popping up in front of you. And you get to return a sneak card that is going to be played back to your deck. This is a great way to get that 7th sneak card now to play, triggering your chill step for the 7th time, triggering, run speed, triggering your next rogue step to get an additional coin. This is a must-include card because not only is the recycle effect really good, it gives you depth, but also it's recycling specifically a sneak. How many times do you shuffle cards back in your deck with other card effects and they end up being like stumbles, or they end up being something you don't really want to shuffle back into your deck? Well, here you're shuffling something into your deck that is not a stumble. It's specifically a sneak. Of course, this is a moot point if you've played all your sneak cards and then finally Retrace Your Steps comes out. You don't have a sneak card left in your deck to shuffle. Well, that feels bad. But I very rarely played a game where that was the case. Usually Retrace Your Steps comes out because there are 5 sneaks, right? Usually Retrace Your Steps comes out and you still have some sneaks that can be shuffled. And that just waits in the background until that sneak plays, and then it shuffles it finally. It doesn't matter how long you have to wait. The system knows that the next sneak card will be shuffled. And it synergizes so well with Rogue Step, right, for your treasure, and Ninja Step, right, for your run speed, Chill Step for your Frost Embers. You can just build a whole sneak deck now. If you plan on picking up 3 of these and 1 of those and 3 of those and 3 of those, and maybe put in one of these center selves to get yourself that extra sneak later down the road. I don't know. But it's a very interesting deck archetype. Next on the list for 43 Frost Embers is Cryosynthesis. This card, this is a permanent, right? Whenever you get run speed, jump boost, or regeneration, it just dumps Frost Embers on you. +2 Frost Embers. Imagine this card in synergy with this card. That's all I'm going to say, right? +2 Frost Embers, +2 Frost Embers, +2 Frost Embers, +2 Frost Embers, all the way down. Or even this card, right? Like getting run speed for your sneak cards, +2 Frost Embers now, plus the Chill Step Frost Embers, plus Frost Embers for everything. There are so many synergies with Cryosynthesis. That's why it's 43 Frost Embers. Notice also, it doesn't break with Bounding Strides. What happens with Bounding Strides is you get jump boost once for 2 minutes. So you only get 2 Frost Embers with Bounding Strides. Whereas with Triple Jump, you get 1, 2, 3, you get 6 Frost Embers. 6? No. 12. You get 12. I can do math, I swear. You get 12 Frost Embers with the freaking 27 card versus the 52 of Frost Ember card only giving you 2 Frost Embers. Cryosynthesis makes you think about the cards in your deck, and I like that. For 45 Frost Embers, I was thinking I really want to put a rare in the game that gets you moving to specific places, specific locations on the map. What can I do to do that? And so that's what Spirit Quest is about. Spirit Quest is a permanent. At the beginning of the game, where you get your pork chop power, you get your map, you get other stuff. You also get your Spirit Quest item. Return this item to where it belongs in the dungeon, and you immediately get 4 Clink Block, 4 Hazard Block, and 15 seconds of regeneration. Ooh, Cryosynthesis regeneration. So with Spirit Quest, I've made a system in the dungeon that has, I think, about 9 different items that belong in 9 different locations on level 2. One of them is, for example, a cobweb. You need to take this cobweb item that has been renamed, and it has lore text and all of that stuff. It has a clue, in the lore text that says, something about spiders. Well, if you take it into the spider den and you look for blue glazed terracotta, that tells you, that blue glazed terracotta tells you that that's where you drop off the Spirit Quest item. You throw it on the ground, a hopper minecart picks it up, and then you have instantly 4 Clink Block, 4 Hazard Block, and 15 seconds of regeneration. This card is a low risk card, high reward card. You're going to level 2 anyway for your artifact, or to get a key to go to level 3. So you might as well bring an item with you that you can turn in and just get instantly, Clink Block along the way and Hazard Block along the way. Here is one of my favorite cards, which is high risk, high reward. Just, I don't know. My challenge to myself was, can I make a rare card that's an ethereal card that's expensive? So 20 Frost Embers for a one-time use card. I developed Excavation. You get some nice little bonuses. You get a little bit of treasure. You get a little bit of hazard block. For every hazard door in level 1 in the Frozen Crypt, I hooked it up to this card, and I gave it a 50% chance that that hazard door would reopen. That means roughly 50% of your hazard doors in the Frozen Crypt, when this Excavation card is played, will reopen. They could close again later. Of course, there's hazard block here to buy you some time to get up to level 1 and to utilize this effect. But I thought, man, reopening closed hazard doors is such a power move, right? How many times are you running through level 1, right? Especially through the crypt upstairs where you've got that one Ravager, and he's such a jerk. This makes it so much easier to get out of there, because now you're not getting trapped where Etho got trapped about 5 billion times, where that water comes falling down. Instead, what if all those, maybe half of those doors opened? You have now a different route that you can get out of level 1. And then there are other doors, all of the doors, basically, almost all of the doors on level 1, I hooked up to this card, gave them a 50% chance of reopening when this card plays. So there's high risk, right? The other risk of this card is, what if it plays early in the game when hazard doors have hardly closed? Then it's a bit of a wash, right? You lose the card because it's a one-time use card. At least you get a little bit of treasure and you get a little bit of hazard block out of it. It's not a total waste, but it also is a feel bad because this is really the effect that you're going for on this card. So this is where you're really feeling like gambling. I mostly did not develop this card to be sold down here. This is one of those cards that I want people to get through other means, right? Pirate's Booty. There's in the black market, there's a way you can buy a random ethereal card and have it delivered to your shulker box at the beginning of the game. And so that's basically what this is for. This is for you to feel good about using Pirate's Booty and feel good about buying a random card out of the Crown Shop too, where you have random chance of getting items. It's also in the Crown Shop as a random reward for spending crowns. For 49 Frost Embers, I wanted to return to this idea of stumble cards, interacting with stumble cards. And so I created Frostbite. What Frostbite does is it frees your joints so that your joints are literally frozen, so you can't stumble. That's the idea. You will not draw new stumble cards for the next 4 minutes. Also, during that time, you cannot regen, run speed, or jump boost. Of course, the stumble cards already in your deck can still be played, but you're not going to add new stumble cards to your deck for 4 minutes. This is a way to really synergize with Tiptoe, right? Now you're not getting new stumble cards, so your Tiptoe effects will be a little bit more powerful. This is a great late game card, really any time of game, because your stumbles are being added at the same rate no matter where you are in the game. But also, it synergizes really well with Swagger, because if you play this, if this card comes out of your deck first and then Swagger comes out of your deck, those 2 stumble cards from Swagger are not going to be added to your deck. Finally, what I want to show you from my rares is Sacred Haunts for 51 Frost Embers, my most expensive of the rares and commons, never mind the legendaries, is basically a hazard blocking card. Notice I don't have a lot of hazard. I got a little hazard block there and maybe a little hazard block there. Not a lot of hazard block in my cards that I've developed. I think Tangos are quite fine for that. But I thought I needed to create something on the high end. So I created Sacred Haunts. 10 hazard block, but you lose up to 8 of your queued up treasure. So if this card plays and you have like a bunch of treasure in your queue. Maybe you're playing, what's that card that Tango created that gets you treasure whenever you clank? If you have that and it's generating a lot of treasure, this is just going to empty your treasure for in order to get you all of that hazard luck. So, another one of those risk and reward cards. Most often when I played Sacred Haunts, I didn't have any treasure queued up, so the loss really didn't trigger much for me. But for some people, I'm sure they would play this and just have the worst luck in the world. So let's kind of cheat our way back upstairs again. Once we get upstairs, these legendary cards are not always going to be available for purchase. I've coded, let's go back and look at my redstone. I've put in all of this extra wiring here. These are all the conditions that have to be met in order to reveal certain legendary cards, right? So here you can start to see some of the names of the legendary cards that I created. Oh, spoiler alert, oh no. Actually, these two are Tango's, right? Tango also made Boots of Swiftness, and Beastmaster, I made some modifications I'll show you shortly. But notice these redstone lines are incomplete. There are certain conditions that have to be met within the dungeon itself, certain things you have to do while you're playing Decked Out 2 in order to activate these conditions and make it so that these cards will be even visible, even available for you to purchase when you get to the Ember shop. And so here we are in the Ember shop, and I'll explain those conditions in a moment. But here, let's start with the cheapest legendary cards. For 70 embers, we have Boots of Swiftness, which is a different version than what Tango made. Tango's Boots of Swiftness were perfectly fine, but because they're Boots of Swiftness, I thought that why don't we drop leather boots so that they can combo with your suit of armor if you play what's that card called? Suit Up, right? Now you can also add leather boots to your Suit Up. And those leather boots give you a bonus effect, dropping either Soul Speed 3 or Depth Strider 3, and getting you out the door with 30 seconds of run speed. Why Soul Speed 3, you might ask? Well, the Depth Strider 3 is obvious because, right, you've got Willy down there. What if you can outrun Willy? Depth Strider 3 gets you a long way there. Even helps your survivability in level 1 if you fall into the River of Souls, or if you want to go diving in the depth charge area. That could be a strategy as well, getting you through that depth charge area with more swiftness, basically. But Soul Speed 3, I have made extensive changes to the dungeon, putting in Soul Soil virtually everywhere, so that you can take advantage of this, right? First of all, there's obviously all the Soul Soil down there, right? I don't know how much that's going to help you there. But if you'll see over here, we've got Soul Soil right here. Soul Soil, oh, hello, buddy. Soul Soil over here. Soul Soil up here. I've added more and more blocks of Soul Soil, even through here, so that you can basically sprint through here if you want to, if you don't mind making all that clank. If you have these Boots of Swiftness, they really benefit you on this level. More Soul Soil down there. Even in level 1, let me show you what I've done. Let's go upstairs to level 1, huh? Even in level 1, I've made it so that Boots of Swiftness will be really effective, because underneath all of this snow, I've gone and placed Soul Soil. So there's Soul Sand already here that Tango placed to hamper your jumping. But notice everywhere else I put in some Soul Soil, so that run speed would be active when you're in this place. This makes not only jumping across the river much easier, but also if you're escaping from Ravagers, it's going to be easy as well. I even went as far as putting Soul Soil around here underneath the snow here, so that if you're running from Ravagers through here, you get that little bit of extra speed so that you can play maybe a little bit more dangerously. So yeah, there's that. There's also, soul soil just a little bit here and there throughout the dungeon everywhere else. There's soul soil out here underneath all of this snow. I just wanted to get you that run speed everywhere that it's possible. Right, so let's go back down to the Ember shop. That's Boots of Swiftness for you. In order to unlock Boots of Swiftness, in order for it to even be visible for you to purchase, you have to exit the game. You have to end the game of Decked Out 2, exiting through the doors while you have run speed active on your person. So there's a trigger through the door that triggers if you've ended the game while you've got the run speed beacon effect in place. Only when that condition is met will this card be available for you to purchase. So you could get all of those extra keys. You could get 70 Frost Embers as you're exiting the dungeon, but you won't be able to purchase this unless you exit the dungeon while run speed is active. And that's basically the template for all of these, right? Some secret condition within the dungeon has to be met. For 70 Frost Embers also, I've put in Beastmaster. This is similar to Tango's card, right? Tango had a Beastmaster legendary with basically just this line of text, which I thought was perfectly fine, but I wanted to add a little bit more to it, right? If you're the master of beasts, then there's got to be something that you do on your person to master those beasts, not just the passive effect of being able to know where they are. So I'm dropping for you 2 splash potions of slowness at the start of the dungeon, where you get your pork chop power and you get your suit up armor and your map and everything. You also get those 2 splash potions of slowness that you can throw at beasts or whatever is chasing you, giving you that extra control, that extra oomph that I felt this card really needed in order to be a legendary card. But it's fully coded. In order to even have this card visible, purchasable when you come through those doors, though, the condition that triggers this card is you have to go to the black market and sell in the black market a tropical fish, a slime ball, a spider eye, and something else that has to do with beasts. I can't remember what it is. But basically, there's a way in the black market. When I go up there and show you, there's a way in a black market for you to sell all of these extra little items that you can pick up, these contraband. Oh, that's right, contraband items, right? So also glow ink sack. If you sell these items, this card will be able to be purchased. Now, moving on to the medium tier cards. These are Tango's cards, right? Tango designed Cash Cow and Avalanche. I just coded them and made them playable and gave them a price point of 75. In order for Cash Cow to be purchasable as you enter as you exit the dungeon, Cash Cow requires that you exit the dungeon while you have 3 or more treasures still in your queue that have not been dispensed in the dungeon. So if you've got your map out, right, and you're leaving the dungeon, you have to leave the dungeon having more than three or more treasure in your queue. Then this card will show itself. That means you're leaving treasure basically unspawned on the floor. And so you have to be playing pretty strategically in order to activate this. By the way, all of these things are in this clue book right here, right? Which I gloriously failed to jump over and get into, even though I'm in creative mode. If you feel like making this jump, you can read how to unlock all of these things in this book. Given, it's really a clue. It doesn't tell you exactly what to do, but you ought to be able to piece together the clues in order to find out, oh, that's how I get Cash Cow. That's how I got Avalanche, right? Avalanche is the same thing as Cash Cow. You just have to leave the dungeon with 3 Frost Ember pips on your map or more that have not spawned in the dungeon, right? So in a way, you're leaving unspent frost embers, which means not only you have to collect 75 frost embers and you get all those keys, but you're leaving extra frost embers in the dungeon basically because you have to exit the dungeon, exit through that door with extra pips of frost embers available. If you think that's brutal, this is a card. This is probably my favorite legendary card that I've designed right here. It's based on a concept in Magic the Gathering called modal cards. And this is a random modal card. For 75 frost embers, you get an arcane boomerang with one of 4 effects that trigger when this card plays. But why, look at these pretty mediocre effects, right? Just 2 treasure, 2 frost embers, run speed. The big thing is this last line, which always triggers. This card recycles itself. It's a boomerang, so it will always come back to you. The only thing that could destroy this card is Eerie Silence, right? Eerie Silence throws away the next, 1 or 2 cards that play. I can't remember exactly how many, but if Arcane Boomerang was going to be one of those cards, then you've lost it. And that's the big effect of this card. This card provides deck card advantage. That's basically the only thing it does, because these effects are pretty darn mediocre for a card. I mean, think about Treasure Hunter gets you +4. 15 seconds of run speed on 1 card play is pretty dang lame. The block 1 Clank and 1 Hazard block is basically like Vigilance. It's one of the lamest of the common cards. But what this is it's a repeating card. In the early game, it kind of sucks to play Arcane Boomerang, right? But you get to play it again. You get to play it an infinite number of times. And that's where the card's true value shines. Think about all those runs at the end of the game where Etho and Hypno and Pearl, they were running into stumble after stumble after stumble after stumble at the very end of the game because they've played all their 40 cards. They've spent too long in the dungeon. This card buys you that little bit of extra time, because now instead of just playing stumble, you have basically a 50% chance of playing a stumble or playing an Arcane Boomerang. And if you're really lucky, you might be able to block some of the extra clank on your way out while this is playing instead of that stumble card, right? So on average, think about how, now you're playing 50% less stumbles in the end game and getting instead one of these 4 effects. That's buying you a little bit of extra time, and that might be that extra time that you need. Plus, the treasure, the frost embers, the clank block, these things could actually help you get out of the dungeon, or get out of the dungeon maybe more fabulously wealthy. But that's this card in a nutshell. I'm very proud of this card. It seems very balanced. In playtesting, it was really fun to play with for those really long runs. But it does kind of suck if it plays early in the game, because these effects are not the kind of effects you want to see, in level 1 when you're trying to get keys, or in level 2 when you're trying to dodge Ravagers. Not great effects by themselves. But this provides your deck with a lot of depth. Moving on to the most expensive of the legendary cards. Oh, by the way, in order for this card to appear, in order for you to buy this card, you need to leave the dungeon with 10 cards still in your deck. Those 10 cards, it actually, when you leave the dungeon, it's counting how many cards remain in your deck. And if you have at least 10 cards, and that can include stumble cards, right? You could have stumble cards shuffled into your deck. But if you leave the dungeon with 10 or more cards in your deck, then this one will be available to purchase. So imagine the circumstances that you have to engineer in order to make that happen, right? You need 1 of each of the extra keys. You need to leave the dungeon with 75 frost embers and 10 cards unplayed. You've got to really be optimizing your deck at that point. That's why, these are legendary cards. They are super hard to get your hands on. But you can, if you play this game enough, more than, however many rounds Tango and the Hermitcraft server played it, you got to have way more, basically weeks of gameplay in order to actually develop your deck to a place where you can really optimize and make it possible to pick up, any of these cards, really. But yeah, that's what makes these legendary. Now, on to the most expensive cards. Here's one you'll recognize. This is virtually the same thing as Tango's design. When it came to coding Glorious Moment, however, I just couldn't, for whatever reason, I couldn't code it so that it was 3, 3, and 3. I play tested it, and I changed the redstone wiring, and then I fixed it, and then it broke again. In the end, I managed to get it to a place where it would recycle 2 cards, block 4 Clank, and block 4 Hazard. The 3 and the 3 and the 3, it just was too hard for some reason. For my redstone knowledge, I couldn't get it to work. So anyway, I changed it, and I feel that this maybe this works better. I don't know. It's not a big difference, but at least when you acquire your artifact and you generate 3 Clank, because it's blocking 4 Clank before that 3 Clank happens, you actually end up with a net gain of 1 Clank block, which I think is a little bit better, because in Tango's design with 3, 3, and 3, basically it just wiped out the 3 Clank block that you got from this card when you got your artifact. So this at least leaves you with a little bit of extra something. In order for you to be able to purchase this card, what you have to do is you have to leave the dungeon, exit the dungeon, with jump boost still activated. Have a beacon that has, the beacon effect jump boost still activated. So that is going to be a little bit tricky, right? That means you have to have a lot of jump boost cards in your deck. They have to play as you're leaving the dungeon, and you have to get 80 frost embers and all those keys, right? So that's just a whole bunch of conditions that have to be met, basically, right, for you to even think about getting this card. But again, that's what makes it legendary, and it's so expensive because you virtually always want this card in your deck, because every run you're going to be getting your artifact, right? That's what the whole run is about. And so since that's always going to be the case, you might as well be getting all these bonus effects. So that's why it's priced at 80 frost embers. Very, very tough to do, but very possible, because jump boost is one of those effects that everybody wants in their deck anyway. So you just have to get lucky and be leaving the dungeon as you have one of your last remaining jump boost cards go off. And finally, for 80 frost embers, I've also created a cloak of invisibility. This cloak of invisibility, it's a permanent. At the beginning of the game, you get a potion of invisibility, 45 seconds long, that you can drink or splash on yourself. I forget which it is. At any time during the game, to give yourself that quick invisibility for whatever situation you find yourself going into. And then, similar to Tiptoe over there, you block 1 Clank every 15 seconds for the entire game. So you have a progressive clock that runs in the background every 15 seconds. Block a Clank, block a Clank, block a Clank. But you cannot ever gain run speed, regeneration, or jump boost during the game. So there's this massive downside, right? You lose mobility, but on the other hand, you don't have to really worry too much about Clank. I mean, you do have to worry about Clank in the sense that if you have no other Clank blocking cards in your deck, this is not going to be sufficient, because you're going to be running around making Clank, more frequently than once every 15 seconds. Plus all the Clank that's generated when you get your artifact, Clank that's generated from other cards possibly in your deck. There's going to be just a lot going on. So this isn't just an automatic win the game card, because you never have to worry about Clank block. But it is a card that I think will make for some very interesting play styles, giving you, that choice of when do you want 45 seconds of invisibility. You can do that at any time, because you'll have that potion in your inventory. And then, basically that Clank block every 15 seconds, that's more frequently than Tiptoe, mind you. Tiptoe was every 20 seconds, and then it is interrupted by your stumbling. At any rate, this one is basically a permanent tiptoe with more frequency. And it stacks with tiptoe too. If you've got this in your deck at the start of the game and you're making that clank block and then a tiptoe plays, well, now you're basically getting like double the effect of the tiptoe effect, getting just tons of clank blocks stored up for yourself. Now, in order to get this card purchasable, you have to leave the dungeon with what I believe is maybe 4 clank blocks still in your queue, still in your card, right, or in your map. That's what'll make this card visible for you. That's what it'll pop it up, and you'll be able to buy it by throwing your frost embers down there. So that's the forge, ladies and gentlemen. If you have any comments or questions about my cards, feel free to leave a comment. I can't guarantee that I'll answer necessarily all of them, but very proud of the work that I've done here. Before I start saying goodbye, let me show you the black market. Who did that? First, in order to even access the black market, my server mates are really messing with me. You got to go down to level 3. Unless you have that ethereal card that I created that just opens the black market door for you, you have to go down here, right, and pray that a warden is not nearby, because you're going into this room, noise-making room, basically, where you step on pressure plates, you open doors, and to boot, you have to hit this button. Now, the ominous banner is the thing that indicates to you black market, or it should indicate to you black market. And so you see this ominous banner and you're like, ooh, I wonder, black market. And you press the button. You'll hear a piston going off. And then this is the redstone line that indicates black market. I use the what is this, black glazed terracotta to indicate black market. So that's my black market wire. And then you have 5 minutes for the door to be open, for you to come out of level 3, not get slain by a warden who heard you pressing that button or leaving, and then probably will go this way because this is faster, and look for an ominous banner. Ooh, I wonder where it is. Also, if you don't feel like going to level 3, or if you don't feel like risking your life pressing buttons down there, you can use that ethereal card that you can purchase to open this door. And here's the black market. The black market is run by Sylvester and Merkel. But basically, when you enter the black market, it's a buyer's market. They are here, Merkel and Sylvester are here to buy your stuff from you. You can sell extra keys. You get 2 coins each, and then the coins will drop right there on this table. You can sell your glow ink sacks, your slime balls, your tropical fish, your basalt, and your spider eyes. And I've made ways in the dungeon for you to get basically slime balls and tropical fish without having to punch or kill anything. You don't even need to necessarily wait for a warden to kill a slime for you. There is a way to get slime balls in the dungeon now. You do have to get lucky with the glow ink, and you do have to get violent with the spider eye. I counted, I think it's 5 or 6 punches of the poison spiders, because they have less health, for you to punch and kill a poisonous spider. But then it'll probably drop for you the spider eye. But what a reward, huh? 2 crowns for a spider eye. Again, in order to get Beastmaster visible, you have to sell at least 1 of each of these 4 items here, the spider eye and the fish, just to prove that you are the master of the beasts that are in the dungeon. You can sell your suit up chest plate for 5 frost embers. If you sell your leggings, you get +2 clank block. These are not great prices, right? 5 frost embers for, basically risking your life for the rest of the dungeon. Well, it's a buyer's market, not necessarily a seller's market, right? You got to be pretty desperate if you want clank block instead of your suit up leggings. Selling your pork chop for a crown. Remember, this is where you sell your items. You're not buying cooked pork chops down here. The only thing that you can buy in this room are berries. You'll get 2 berries if you give him 4 crowns virtually. And you can sell your map for 5 frost embers. So if you come down here and you're strategic, right? Look, your suit up chest plate and your map get you 10 frost embers. That gets you a lot closer to those legendary card price ranges, right? And then maybe get a few extra frost embers if you found any glow ink out there. It really is, there are opportunities for you if you make them. There is one other thing about the black market here, the VIP market. It costs you 2 crowns to enter it. But when you enter the VIP market, you're given a whole bunch of extra options, which makes your treasure cards much more valuable because everything in here costs you crowns and coins. In addition to getting a bunch of extra berries for free, you can buy a moment of clarity and put it into your current deck. So if you're running low on cards, it's late in the game and you're worried about Clank, you're worried about Hazard, I don't know. You've got 2 crowns in your inventory and you just want to trade them in for a little bit of extra peace of mind, then you can do that here. This is where you can deliver a random ethereal card, which might be Excavation. It might be any of the other new ethereal cards that I've created, or it might be any of Tango's ethereal cards. All of the ethereal cards are on buy here. It's just a random one. You do that for 1 crown, and you don't even have to survive the run. It's delivered to the respawn room, so it'll be there waiting for you whether you finish the run or you die. This is a bit of a risk, right? You don't know what the next card that will play will be, but it'll recycle it for you. I've definitely played this game, done a few runs, and then recycled a stumble. Feels bad, but when it recycles something good, then it feels good, right? So for a crown, you at least also get the 2 clank block, but that negates itself if you recycle yourself a stumble. This is really risky. Maybe I should have lowered the price to a couple coins. I don't know. Here is the effect of one of Tango's cards. I decided to make it available for 1 coin so that you could make even more cards available, right? So what is that card? I can't remember what it's called. But the one I reduced its price, and it's available now for what was it, like 26 frost embers in the Ember shop. Here you can stack that effect with just 1 coin. So this is almost a no-brainer. If you were able to get in here, pretty much everybody would want to throw that 1 coin in here to make 1 more card available in the Ember shop, as well as in the Forge shop. For 3 coins, you can buy a jump boost potion. Giving yourself that jump boost at any moment that you want in the dungeon is going to be pretty huge. Especially if you're escaping on max clank, right? Because then you're going to want to be able to jump over all of those walls and those hazards that have developed over the time of your playing. So, again, another use for coins if you're really not into treasure at the end of the game. And then here is basically a gamble, right? For 4 coins, do you think you can get more treasure than those 4 coins on your way out of the dungeon? Giving yourself 4 treasure and 4 frost embers in your queue. This could also be a way to trigger Avalanche and Cash Cow if you're quick in getting out of the dungeon. Add these extra items in your queue and hope that you can get out of the dungeon really fast. Maybe getting extra cards to play that increase your treasure and frost embers along the way, so that when you exit the dungeon, you exit with extra things in your queue. So that's another possibility here. But that's it. That is the black market. Finally, I'd like to show you the last ethereal card that I made, which I put up here in the Ember shop. I added a few things to the Ember shop, hoping that I could create a more robust crown economy and make crowns more valuable apart from purchasing frozen shards here. But I'm not sure if I actually accomplished that You can see I've added here a helm of water breathing, which is the turtle shell, which gives you a few extra seconds of breathing. I've increased the pool of mystery items by using, I think, droppers instead of just simply one dropper that drops 9 things. I have multiple droppers that the thing could select from, giving a total of 16 different items. And in the random key section, I included a key to a secret area of the dungeon that I have not shown you, but maybe I'll show in a later video. But the important thing is I want to show you the new ethereal card that I created, and stack that next to the other ethereal cards. So let's go and enable these ethereal cards. I'm not actually sure if this is how the system works. All right, let's go see if this worked. Yes, here we go. All the ethereal cards are now visible, including the one that I created, right? So you have Pay to Win, you have Pork Chop Power, you have Tactical Approach, and you have Off to a Great Start. This is a permanent ethereal. It kicks in at the beginning of the game, just like Tactical Approach and Pork Chop Power, giving you a little bit of hazard block, just so that you don't get blocked out in your first few steps in the dungeon. But also, it will recycle the next card your deck plays, really the first card your deck plays, and it will prevent the first stumble card from being added to your deck. So I've added, so it's more anti-stumble technology here. But more importantly than that, that first card your deck plays won't be a stumble card. So you're guaranteed to recycle whatever the first card is that comes out of your deck, which won't be a stumble card. So this is a way to really get value. If you have a really good deck, this is a way to get value off of those immediate cards that you're going to play. And this only increases in power over time, because you're going to be getting better and better and better cards as the dungeon is run. So this is an interesting card that I came up with. I thought, we should put some anti-stumble cards technology up here in the crown shop. Maybe that will increase the value of these crowns outside of the game. Thank you all for tuning into my nerdy Decked Out 2 modification video. Before I sign out, I just want to show you the 4 new artifacts that I've added to the game and I've hidden throughout the dungeon. Including I've added a whole bunch of new compass drop-off sites in order to get these and the other artifacts, right? And so here they are. The first one you might recognize is a scumpus. I'll give you maybe 3 guesses to figure out which hermit that indicates, right? Of course, this person wasn't a hermit in Season 9, but since he's in Season 6 now, and he's a bit of a fun person to have on the server, I thought I would add him as well. This next item is one that is a callback to my favorite, perhaps my favorite moment in Season 9 of Hermitcraft. And that's when Tango found himself in a mysterious swamp in a faraway land. I wanted to kind of give homage to that moment by creating a witch's hat. This, of course, those of you who remember the crossover event, this is an homage to Shelby the Witch. Shout out to Shubble. This was just such a happy moment in the game. I really wanted to honor it in my modification of Decked Out 2 by creating a artifact that points to that moment.
Hello?
Did you just... Ow. Did you just come out of the woods?
I did. I don't know where I am. But where am I? What is this? And
did you just wander out of the...
I did. I'm just basically a nomad. I was teleported into the middle of the mangrove swamp, almost died, and I'm very hungry, and now I stumbled across this amazing... whatever this is.
Oh. Oh, you're lucky you found me because people usually die in there. It is very dangerous, and the fog eats souls.
Eat souls.
But here's some food.
Can I just say that whatever you got going on with this hat is the most adorable thing I've ever seen in my life?
Thank you. Everybody says it's too big for my head.
No, you tell them to just shut up. This is amazing. And
I
your
think
little
that it
broom.
just houses my big brain.
This is so beautiful.
Then you'll notice this thing that maybe looks like a Cheerio. Actually, I'm not the greatest artist, but I wanted to create some memory for a member of the Hermitcraft family that we lost a few months ago. This is the bed of the 9th cat. This is obviously homage to Scar's kitten Jelly, whom we lost a couple of months ago. This artifact is only available in level 4, I think, maybe at the very end of level 3. So it's a very dangerous artifact to collect, but it's also obviously a very worthwhile artifact to collect. And then finally, I created a top tier artifact, one that is second only to the master key, and that artifact is Grumbot's directives. This is obviously only level 4 in the very back of level 4, a very difficult artifact to obtain. And actually, I was going to create a whole new area of level 2 where you could stumble upon Grumbot himself and discover that it's Grumbot. Lore alert. It's Grumbot who's running the whole decked out thing. And he's behind the scenes and behind everything. And actually, I was going to make it, if you could give him this artifact, he would start going haywire. And obviously maybe spit out frost embers for you or something. But I was going to put in a whole bunch of lore. I just didn't get time to do this. But he would say something like, I can't believe Grian kept these processes from me. I need to go find Mumbo. I need to go find Mumbo. And then it would, obviously be a moment of concern for you. But yeah, that's lore. Just didn't get time for it. That's these new artifacts. Thank you all for tuning in and checking out my video. Very proud of the work that I've done here. I'm very thankful to Tango for his live streams. I'm so thankful to Tango for doing Redstone on camera. It is just a lifesaver. I would not have been able to do any of this. Let me show you some of the redstone real quick. Would not be able to do any of this nonsense without Tango showing basically how he coded decked out too. Some of this is still, some of this stuff is still a mystery to me. This is all Tango's mess back here, by the way, not mine. My mess is over here, obviously. This is the forge that I created and basically copied Tango's work. But then I had to create some original systems too. But yeah, look at Tango's card processor. It's unrecognizable. I have put in such a mess up here. You can't even see the card processor. There's all these wires that are in the way, right? Yeah, I just wanted to give you one last look at the card processor. You can even see I've stuck cards next to where I've coded them, just to kind of give myself that idea of what is this card, what is this redstone supposed to do? Oh, it's gonna drop berry there. Eyes on the prize is the thing that I was trying to reference earlier and forgot what it was called. But yeah, you come down here and see, there's a rich fair and it's doing this thing there. And here's cryogenesis. Here's retrace your steps. Here's arcane boomerang. actually the code for Arcane Boomerang. I didn't have enough room to work. So you can see this brown wire leading you to where Arcane Boomerang's effects take place. And it goes over here. Where else does Arcane Boomerang work? Yeah, there it is. Here's Arcane Boomerang. Here's the randomizer, right? 2 embers, 2 treasure, run speed, 1 clank, and 1 hazard block. Here's the cryogenesis conditional line. What is this white line here? Oh, center self, right. This is the card that triggers the addition of sneaks and stabilities into your deck. All of this purple mess here, this is what counts how many sneaks and rogue step cards have played in the game so far. Even if you don't have any rogue steps in your deck, it's counting how many sneaks play. I needed that to take place in case there was some other effect or something happens in which a rogue step gets added into the game or into your deck while you're playing the game. I don't think that's possible, but I wanted to leave the option open because I didn't know how I was going to build it out. Goodness, what else do we have? There's original sneak, treasure hunter, tread lightly. There's the rogue step. Oh, it's just a lot of stuff. There's the sound. Here's vigilance. Very simple card, probably. Here's the clock for tiptoe, right? When tiptoe activates, it'll block a clink every 20 seconds. This is about every 20 seconds. And then it triggers and then it blocks a clink. But it gets interrupted when this thing gets powered, and this thing gets powered by stumbles playing upstairs, because here's the stumble. Oh my gosh. Cash Cow and Avalanche. Yeah. This is basically how Redstone works, ladies and gentlemen. There's Frostbite, Sacred Haunts. Oh dear, this is just a lot of work. What does this sign say? Empties the treasure queue, right? Because Sacred Haunts will empty your treasure for you. There's Cold Cache, the conditional if you've not yet descended to level 2. So I created a counter that says, hey, has he gone to level 2 yet? Has he unlocked that door? And there's Tango's cards, back to center self. Here's Excavation. We have the treasure line, and then which one is the hazard block line? Is it blue? I have no idea where it went. Yeah. Ninja Step, all with my own original audio. Here, you wanna listen to some of my audio? Which one would be good to listen to? I don't know if any of these. This is so amateur. Where is the audio?
Cold Cache.
Yeah, there's that one.
Arcane Boomerang. Retrace your steps.
Ooh, I have to move that back. Thank you all for tuning into my video and checking out my modifications to Tango's Decked Out 2 game. I'm really proud of the work that I've done here, as messy as it may seem, but it was so much fun to be able to code all of this. Thank you, Tango, for everything you've done, for showing your Redstone on camera, for walking all of your viewers through every step that you took. This is just tremendous. I've had so much fun with this, and I'm so glad that this world download was made available to us. You guys are the best. keep doing what you're doing. Thank you all, and good night.